So a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. They stick me at the end of this hall here, way back in the corner by all the office supplies. So if you never see me, that's why. Hi, I'm Dr. Kellen Binder. Go Packers. We finally won this Sunday. Yay! I'm engaged to Dr. Amanda, and we have a new family member. Her name is Keena. She's a 5-month-old Springer Spaniel, and she's a handful. All right, so to kind of start things off for my section of the talk here, I wanted to talk to you about understanding a new paradigm of healthcare, okay? And this is going to kind of lay the groundwork for everything I'm going to cover from here on out, okay? So I want you all to play a pretend game with me. You're driving home, and you pull down your street, and you've had a rough day at work. You just want to go to bed, right? And you see that your house is on fire. You turn the corner, and there's fire coming out of your house, out of the chimney, out of the windows, everywhere. Who would you call first? Who do you think of when you say, okay, house on fire, what do I do next? Anybody? Fire department. Okay. You'd call the fire department. Why wouldn't you call a dentist? Silly question, right? So that's what your house looks like. You call the firemen, right? So I ask you kind of a silly question, why wouldn't you call a dentist? And I ask that question because you could call a dentist. He's got a little water hose. He could probably spray down your fire, right? Probably not. Well, the point is you call the firefighter because he has two things. He's got the right education to put that fire out, and he's got the right tools to put your fire out, right? That's two things the dentist has, but not the right ones of, okay? So the firefighter comes with his hose and his axe, all right? He beats down your front door, busts in all your windows, so he can spray his hose into your house and put that fire out. He's been there all of, 15 minutes, and he's destroyed your house even more than when he got there, right? But you're happy he did it because the reason he's there is to put the fire out. However he can do it, make sure that fire's out. Okay, and I want you to pretend that your body resembles your house in this analogy. When your body has a fire, who do you call? Okay? If you would keel over with a heart attack and stroke right now, would you want me, a chiropractor, going to grab a knife and a spork from the break room and do open heart surgery on you? Probably not. You need the right tools and the right guy with the right education to do that. And that is traditional medicine. That's going to the hospital, to the ER. You need that fire put out. Okay? So, your house now looks like this. Fire's out, crisis is averted, right? Now what do? Does that doctor who did the open heart surgery sit down with you and say, okay, Mrs. Jones, here's the 10-step plan of how you're going to recover. This is why you had the heart attack. This is how you can avoid it. And this is what you can do in the future so I don't see you again. Does that ever happen? Probably not. And if they do give you a 10-step plan, it's probably one step, and it's, here's a prescription, take the rest of your life, right? So, our house looks like this, beaten, broken, unlivable. Who do you call to make it something we can live in again? We call the guy with the right tools and the right education, and in this situation, it would be a carpenter. And in the situation of our bodies, that would be an employee here at the Wellness Way. We look at your health, how can we help you? We have the right tools and education to not just sit down with you and get that fire out, but take you beyond that, to take you to a new level of health and even wellness where we're not dealing with disease, but preventing it before it's even a problem. All right? So, the fireman's approach to finding allergic responses. Dr. Jesse mentioned that there's two types of major responses, IgE and IgA. One is an immediate response and one is a delayed response. Traditionally, we test for the immediate response. When they go in and they make your back look all pretty with all those little allergy testings, that's testing an immediate response. But how do we know if you have a delayed response from that test? And that's where I want you guys to have that new paradigm of healthcare, that new way of thinking. We need to test more in order to get the whole picture, right? So here's Will Smith. He's showing us what an anaphylactic reaction looks like, and that is an immediate response. You see it pretty obviously. But importantly here, 75% of our immune system is IgG, which means it's delayed. So if we're testing only the IgA or IgE up on top, we're getting roughly 25% of that picture of what we're allergic to and what we're not allergic to. What about that 75% down there? Do we just kind of assume that, we'll get through it without the 75? I think that's a pretty important percentage, and we need the right test to do it, okay? So, pie. Who doesn't like pie here? Good, no one raised their hands, I'm happy. So pie, let's just say pie is made out of 10 ingredients, okay? And you haven't had any tests done, you don't know what you're allergic to or not. But, oops, you're allergic to blueberries. Let's make it something simple. You're allergic to blueberries, you just put a fire in your house, okay? There's a fire now in your gastrointestinal system because your body's having a delayed immune response to those blueberries you ate, which you didn't know you had because, like Dr. Jesse mentioned, it could be 30 days before you even know. So, what does it look like when there's a fire in your belly? Well, we take a film of you, and this is your GI, your stomach, okay? And usually people have told you, well, you take x-rays to look at bones and see the alignment, especially for chiropractors, but we can actually do more with it. It's got more uses. You see all this bubbly goodness, backup, gas, probably should stay by himself for a while after he's eaten whatever he has. That's what we don't want to see, okay? And if you have that, we can 100% tell you that you're eating something you shouldn't, that there's an immune response in your GI, there's a reaction, and that it's causing damage. It's leading you down a path of chronic disease and causing leaky gut syndrome. What are you allergic to? Well, we don't know yet. That's what we're trying to find out, okay? So, the GI system, that's what we're looking at specifically, and it's very important for what Dr. Jesse covered about the leaky gut. If you break down the GI system, which is your primary barrier, that's where most of your immune system sits, if you break that down, things like bacteria, virus, fungi, parasites, and toxins have direct access to your bloodstream, and that's bad. And specifically, we're talking about food tonight getting direct access to your bloodstream, okay? So that's why we take an x-ray and we look at the GI to look and see how well your immune system is coping with what you're currently eating. Our motto here, we don't guess, we test, okay? That is our motto, Dr. Patrick's favorite words. I'm sure he sleeps and says that at night. But the best way to know what we can do is to have a blood spot test done, okay? And that's the test that's going to tell you you are allergic to blueberries or you are not allergic to blueberries, okay? I'll explain what the blood spot test does. But with this test, we become detectives. We want to get to the root cause of your symptoms. If we just treat your symptoms, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. You know, it might make you feel a little bit better if we kiss it and say you'll be fine, but it's not really fixing the problem, okay? So we always need to find what's causing your symptoms, fix that, and then we shouldn't have symptoms, right? Alrighty. So I wanted to introduce Brooke. She's our phlebotomist, and I'll be going over the blood spot test with you guys in just a second, but I just wanted you guys to put a face to the famous name here, and she'll be the one that will be drawing your blood if in case you do choose to have that test done. Okay, so let's talk about that test. So we're still detectives here. Once we know what's toxic for you, we can guide you on your way to avoiding toxic foods and start you on that path of wellness, correct that leaky gut, get your immune system suppressed a little bit, and keep it from overreacting. But I wanted to point out something that Dr. Amanda touched on. She talked about chiropractic and how important that is. You know, we want you to get this blood spot test done and find out what your allergies are. But like she said with the Swiss watch principle, with all those gears that are working, if we just look at one gear and just address one gear, we give you a 100% perfect immune system. Does that mean we're going to be functioning at 100%? Well, the answer is no. There's a bunch of gears in this process here, and so we always need to look at your health as a whole, whether it's chiropractically, through rehab, through immune allergy support, and a bunch of other things that incorporate that goal, which is wellness. So, this is how we do the tests with your blood work. The doctors get together on Fridays. We each get 3 darts per patient, and we throw it up at a... No, this is not how we do the blood tests. We send all our blood work out to a registered lab, and they check your blood against those allergies we were talking about. And they don't check it once, they check it twice. And if they get different results on both those, they check it a 3rd time. So it's a pretty good test, and we're really happy with the results we get, okay? So this is what the blood spot test sheet looks like. What it is we draw your blood, and we test that blood against 88 most common foods. There's another tier which tests against more foods, which is more expensive, but 88 covers quite a bit, okay? And there's 2 main sections here. There is the reactive test results, and there is the non-reactive test results, okay? If it's blue, you're good to go. You can have that every other day, of course. But if it's red, then we got to worry about it. If it's red, that means your immune system is being triggered by that food, you're reactive to it, and it's damaging to you, okay? So, for example, kidney bean. This person should be avoiding kidney beans. And it's got a little +1. I don't know if anybody can see that out there. There's a +1, and behind every other red food, there's a number, okay? And there's a scale. There's either +1, +2, +3, or +4. And what that scale is, it's telling me, the doctor, and you, how reactive that food is to your body. So, for example, +1, you stub your toe, all right? Not a good thing, but you'll survive, right? That's what a +1 food is. Now, +4 food, I take a hammer and I smash your foot, all right? Not a pleasant experience. A lot of people won't really get through it very happily. You'll survive, but that's a pretty damaging event, okay? So this is what you get back. You also get a little card to put in your wallet, so it reminds you that you can't have all the foods you grew up loving. All right, so the slide everybody wants to know, right? What's the one thing you must add to your diet today in order to help? If you don't have the blood spot test done, Dr. Jesse's posing as Vanna White, what can we start eating to help us out? And the one thing is medicinal mushrooms. I picked reishi mushrooms just because we have it here at the clinic. I'm a little bit more familiar with it. But medicinal mushrooms have amazing capabilities as far as superfoods go. Specifically, though, let's take a look at reishi mushrooms. And this is not Dr. Kellen saying this. This is WebMD. So if you don't believe me, just go online and you'll believe WebMD. But reishi mushrooms is used for boosting the immune system, viral infections, swine flu, avian flu, and you can read this all on your own, but beneficial effects of the immune system. It's pretty much a superfood. It does a lot of things scientists haven't really figured out yet, but the things they have figured out about it are amazing, all right? And they help your body recover from leaky gut, help with the rebuilding process and tissue and growth in the GI, all righty? So this is what you look like. You had your blood spot test done, okay? You found out which foods you were allergic to, and you avoided those foods for 6 months because you're a super great patient and you want to get healthy, all right? This is now what you look like. You can go to a movie and not bother the person next to you with all that gas in your GI. So we can see now, same person, this is all clear. There is no inflammation, there's no immune response that's being triggered because they're not eating the foods that causes that immune response, okay? So now a good question is, okay, I avoided those foods for 6 months, do I have to avoid them for the rest of my life? The answer is no. Some foods, once you kind of work it out of your system and your body trains itself how to live without them, you can slowly incorporate those back into your system. Amanda had a blood spot test done, and she had a couple foods that were +2. She had that same test done 6 months later after she avoided those foods, and they weren't even on the list of foods that caused her an immune reaction anymore. So there is hope. So now we all have a choice to make. I and Dr. Jesse and Dr. Amanda laid the groundwork for you. You can all make a good decision now. Do I have a blood spot test done, find out what foods I can and can't have, and start the path of health, devoid of all those long lists of diseases? We had about 10 slides there. You can head towards that stuff, or you can have the blood spot test done, avoid those foods, and start down the process of getting that gut healthy and, living a life of wellness on all facets and not just the allergy